Hi, welcome to the Rewind the Timeline podcast, brought to you by thetimelinemachine.com. I am your host, the Timeline King. This is the show where we go back in time to look at all the anniversaries that have happened this past week, the 10 year, 25-year, 50-year, etc. So let us begin. So, first we will go to April 23rd. This is the 10-year anniversary of the cartoon show Teen Titans Go. Now, there was an original Teen Titans show that I think ran from, I want to say 2002 to 2006. So that one ran for 5 seasons. That was a much more mature show, more geared towards like the teenage demographic. Now, this one is a reboot of that show. So this one tries to be a little more toned down and more kid friendly audience. So I always didn't like this show just because of that, but I finally decided, okay, let me give it a chance, and I saw a few episodes, and yeah, this show can actually be pretty funny at times. Like I think this is genuinely good, but I think the best mindset to go into it is not to compare it to the original Teen Titans. I think if you do that, then you're going to be in for disappointment. I think just treat it like its own thing, and for that, it's a fun show. Like it's a fun show. It has some good jokes. So this one airs on Cartoon Network, and it came out 10 years ago, but they're still making new episodes of it. So each episode's only like 10 minutes long. So they have like 375 episodes so far, and with those many episodes, it's now like the longest running American show based off of a comic book. So I think the previous one was Smallville, which had like 200 episodes around there. So, but this one it has like 375, almost double that. So, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop anytime soon. So we're going to see more Teen Titans Go. I think the longest running show, comic book show in terms of years, is The Walking Dead on AMC, which went for 11 years. So Teen Titans is getting pretty close there. So they'll probably beat that in about this time next year. So yeah, looking forward to it. Happy 10 years to Teen Titans Go. Okay, so next we go to April 24th. This is the 50th birthday of screenwriter Damon Lindelof. Now, even though you might not know his name, you've probably definitely seen some of his stuff. He is most famous for the TV show Lost, so that's really something that put him on the map. And because of Lost and however many years, I think Lost went on for like 6 seasons. He also got to do The Leftovers and Watchmen, so the HBO show Watchmen. So that's yeah, and he did a bunch of movies like in the early 2000s, 2010s. There was Cowboys and Aliens, Star Trek Into Darkness, Prometheus, World War Z, Tomorrowland. Now that I think about it, like those, none of those movies were actually pretty good. So I think that kind of explained why he hasn't done anything major since then. But yeah, at the time, like this guy was definitely supposed to be like the next big thing, and it just turned out he wasn't. But happy 50th birthday to Damon Lindelof. Okay, so next we go to April 24th, 1998. This is 25 years ago. We had the release of the movie Tarzan and the Lost City. This came out 1 year before Disney's animated Tarzan, which in my opinion is like a much more superior adaptation. Um, Now Tarzan and the Lost City, like yeah, I'm like a big Tarzan fan. Even read the original stories with Edgar Rice Burroughs. So Tarzan's a character like at this point it's been like 110 years since like the first Tarzan story came out. So, but yeah, I mean everybody knows Tarzan, white guy, raised in Africa, learned to survive the environment, and yeah, they still make movies. Now I actually have not seen this particular version of Tarzan. I've been trying to find it, But yeah, it's just like it wasn't a popular movie. Like it didn't make a lot of money at the box office, so it's not available for any on any of the subscription services. I've even been having a hard time finding it on DVD. But yeah, but if you want to check it out, like just check it out and let me know what you think. Okay, so another thing, 25 years ago on April 24th, 1998, we had a TV movie called Dallas War of the Ewings. So this is the second of two made for television Dallas reunion movies. So a little background for Dallas for anybody who doesn't know. Dallas was like one of the most popular shows in the 1980s. Like one of there was one episode of Dallas which is like one of the highest rated show episodes of television ever. So basically, some background for this episode. There's a character on Dallas called J.R. Ewing, right? So he gets shot in an episode. Yeah, I'm spoiling it for you. Uh, so he gets shot in one of the episodes. So and that's like a cliffhanger, and then the next. So basically, we don't know who did it, right? In that episode. So in the next season season premiere, like basically all of America was just tuning in to find out, man, who shot this guy. And yeah, and that ended up being like one of the highest rated episodes of television. So yeah. Now, as far as like this particular TV movie, and I mean it's all right. Like it's not I mean if you're just trying to like watch it to recapture the magic, whatever. Now, Dallas got revived on TNT like I think it was like 2016. They kind of like ignored this movie and the previous one, so I mean like don't really it doesn't really matter that much for modern continuity, but I mean if you want to see it, see it. So, but anyway, happy 25 years to Dallas War the Ewings. Okay, so another thing 25 years ago, April 24th, 1998, we had the debut of Following, the movie Following, which is the first movie directed by Christopher Nolan. So this one premiered at the San Francisco International Film Festival. It would get a wide release like later that year, but like the first time that a Nolan movie was screened for audiences was on this day, April 24th, 1998. And man, Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors. He's directed like so many movies. I pretty much watch all of his movies every time that they come out in theaters. So he did Memento, Prestige, obviously the Dark Knight trilogy with Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Batman Rises. There's also Inception, Interstellar, Tenet. I feel like his last few Dunkirk, like yeah, they haven't been as great as like the original ones, the ones most audiences fell in love with. But I think at his talent, like he's still a great director, and I look forward to his next movie that's coming up, Oppenheimer. So his Nolan's movies are like one of the ones that I always make sure that I see in IMAX because just like his visual style is just very suited for IMAX. Like I do not regret watching a single movie in IMAX. So, and I look forward to checking out Oppenheimer when it comes out later this year. Anyway, so happy 25 years to the following and happy 25 years to Christopher Nolan's directing. Okay, so next we move to April 25th. This is 35 years ago, April 25th, 1988. We had the birthday of actress Sara Paxton, who was born in the Woodland Hills of Los Angeles, California. So Paxton's been in a bunch of stuff in like the early 2000s. So anybody who grew up in that era like I did would probably have seen her in a bunch of stuff. She was in Summerland. She was in Return to Halloween Town. Yeah, and yeah, she was like in a bunch of movies. So she's kind of like just follow fallen off the radar since then. So I and I think it's hard to say why, but I think like I never particularly felt like she was a great actress. She's kind of an actress. She gets roles based more on her appearance than like her actual acting ability is always what I felt. So I've never really yeah, I mean, I've never really thought like she was a great talent the way that I would with I don't know, like Jennifer Lawrence or Amy Adams. But yeah, I mean, she was born in this day, and she's been a lot. I think she is still acting in stuff, but yeah, she's not as prominent. She gets much less starring roles than she used to. So I did see one of her movies, the movie Sleepover, which it's available for free on Tubi for anybody who wants to check it out. Yeah, it's a good movie. I would recommend, but you kind of have to know like what you're getting into. You have to know that you're getting like a teenage romantic comedy stuff. It's not don't go in expecting a great movie, but just go in that expecting like it's just something that I'm gonna have some fun with. Interesting thing about the movie Sleepover, like it does have a lot of other famous faces. Like Alexa Vega is in it, who was in the Spy Kids franchise. There's also Jane Lynch, who became famous for Glee, the TV show. Brie Larson is in it. She's actually playing one of Sarah Paxton's friends. So, and then Steve Carell, who would become famous later for The Office. So yeah, a lot of like really famous people. Though there's also Summer Glau, like who did the Terminator movies. So a lot of like famous people were like in this movie, like before they really hit their big break. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a great movie just because of that and all that. Oh, and also interesting thing I found out. So Sleepover, the movie, it's directed by Joe Nussbaum, right? And Joe Nussbaum, he got to start with a fan short movie called George Lucas in Love, which was about like how the director George Lucas got all his inspirations for Star Wars. And yeah, and basically like the success of that movie, which was only like 10 minutes long, it got him like a bunch of other movies in Hollywood. So he got to direct like Sleepover, Pie Presents the Naked Mile, Sydney White. Yeah, and then yeah, he did a bunch of stuff. So just based off of that one short film, he got like all of his gigs. Just goes to show you, man. All you gotta do is create one thing that people like, and then you'll have a career. Okay, but anyway, I'm getting like really off topic. So this was about Sarah Paxton, and happy 35th birthday to Sarah Paxton. Okay, so next we go to April 26th. So this is April 26th, 1988. This was 35 years ago. We had the debut of the ABC sitcom Just the Ten of Us. Most people know the show Growing Pains. I grew up with Growing Pains, but what most people don't know, Growing Pains actually had a spin-off called Just the Ten of Us. Yeah, so there was this one episode of Growing Pains, right, where Mike had a coach, and he didn't want, and the coach was about to be like retired or fired, and so Mike stages a protest to make sure that the coach still stays. It's ultimately unsuccessful, and the coach has to move anyway. So I remember that episode of Growing Pains. It introduces the coach's family. It shows that he has like a bunch of daughters, and yeah. So the show's about 10 of us, him and his wife and his 8 kids. And yeah, I really enjoyed that episode, and I wanted to see like what happened. So imagine my surprise years later to find out that there actually is a sitcom, and that show was supposed to be a pilot for this sitcom. Now, just the 10 of us, it's actually pretty good. I wouldn't say it's as good as Growing Pains, but I would say watch it. It was never released on DVD or anything, but somebody uploaded all the episodes onto YouTube. So check it out, and yeah, check it out and see what you think. So happy 35th anniversary to Just the Ten of Us. Okay, also on April 26th, we had the debut of the miniseries Merlin. This happened on April 26th, 1998, so 25 years ago. Merlin was a two-night miniseries that aired on NBC. So the first half of the miniseries was on April 26th, second half was April 27th. Um, Yeah, and this one ended up being one of the most popular miniseries of all time. So it had like 35 million viewers each night. So like both nights you would have a combined 70 million people. And so you can check this out wherever. All the episodes are available for free to watch on Crackle. So yeah, so Merlin watched the two episodes. Uh, Now this actually stars like a bunch of like famous people. So you have like Sam Neill who's in it. So he's famous for like his Jurassic Park movies. He was in like three out of the six Jurassic Park movies. You also have Helena Bonham Carter. Miranda Richardson is in this. So Martin Short, Rutger Hauer is in it as the king. So a lot of like famous famous faces. Um, a lot of famous faces, so you know that the acting is good. The special effects though, oh my God, like they're so terrible. They look like something out of Power Rangers. I cannot believe like but I have to accept that. Okay, this is a '90s show, so and this is a TV show. It's not the movie, so obviously they're gonna have like lower level effects. But the story is actually really good. If you can like get over the effects, you'll really appreciate like the story. Now Merlin had a sequel, right? So Merlin, let me explain. Merlin was made by the Hallmark company to debut on NBC. When Hallmark had their own channel later, the Hallmark channel, they made a sequel to the Merlin miniseries. It was called Merlin's Apprentice. It came out in 2006, and it was also like a two night miniseries. Now, okay, so in order to explain my problems with Merlin Apprentice, I kind of have to give you some spoilers for the original Merlin. So, for just some spoilers here, just so that you're warned. Um, so the end of Merlin, right? So he says that there's no magic at all. Magic is gone. Okay. Now the beginning of Merlin's Apprentice, though, there's still magic. So and yeah, and they don't really explain how the ending of Merlin connects to Merlin's Apprentice. And part of me was wondering, okay, is this still a sequel? Because a lot of the times they kind of just ignore the continuity in the original and they do their own thing. So at first I thought, okay, maybe it's kind of set during Merlin's era in the original Merlin, but again, spoilers for Merlin's Apprentice. Merlin dies like halfway through Merlin's Apprentice. So how exactly do the two connect? They never really explain. And if it wasn't for like Sam Neill and Miranda Richardson both coming back in Merlin's Apprentice, I wouldn't even be sure if like the two were connected. They're very different in tone and feel. And yeah, but I mean, if somebody can explain to me what the continuity is, I'd be glad to hear it. But so far, it's hard to think that the two are connected. But yeah, anyway, again, I'm going off topic, but happy 25 years to the Merlin miniseries. So another thing on April 26th, this is April 26th, 2013, 10 years ago, we had the movie Pain and Gain. This was directed by Michael Bay, and it stars Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg. So two actors who I love. They're great for action movies. Michael Bay, I don't love as a director, like especially like the Transformers movies. They're a complete mess. But no. This one was actually pretty good, and it kind of feels like old school Michael Bay, where he did like Bad Boys and The Rock. So not as good as those movies, but I mean this is actually a good film and an enjoyable time at the theater. I know that it's based off a true story, but it's not very accurate to that story. So pretty much just just pretend that this is supposed to be like a fun action movie and then not like based on anything serious. Okay, so happy 10th anniversary to Pain and Gain. Now, there wasn't anything that happened anniversary wise on April 27th, but real life April 27th, we did find out that Jerry Springer died. Now, yeah, I mean, anybody who grew up during that time or like, watched daytime television in the 90s and 2000s would know Jerry Springer from the Jerry Springer Show. Now, looking up his biography, Jerry Springer has definitely led an interesting life. He was born in yeah, he was born like during yeah, he was born during World War II, like as in London as it was being bombed, and then later he would become a news anchor. Later after that, he would become the mayor of Cincinnati, and then he would host the Jerry Springer Show. So yeah, I mean this dude has like an amazing resume, and like I was like really impressed by like all the things that he was able to accomplish in his life. Now, what now, I did attend like a taping of Jerry Springer one time, like many years back, and I remember like somebody in the audience like asking him, so before the show begins, like Jerry always does like a Q&A with the audience, so anybody's allowed to ask whatever. And somebody in the audience asked, "Oh, is there going to be a ringmaster too?" And Jerry's response was, "You saw Ringmaster 1?" And so Wigmaster is a movie that came out in 1998. So also 25 years ago to that movie. Um, so this movie was about like it's was not about the Jerry Springer Show, but just like a fictionalized version of Jerry's show. And in that movie, like a lot of people like trashed on it for years, so I never like actually saw it. But because Jerry Springer passed away, I thought, okay, let me actually give this movie a chance and check this out. But no, this is actually pretty good. I would say it's not a movie that has mainstream appeal. It's more like if you're a fan of the Springer Show, if you're a fan of Jerry Springer, it's something that you would like, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not something that I would recommend for modern for mainstream audiences. And in Ringmaster, like Jerry has a quote, like when asked about like, oh, why all these people are coming into the show with their terrible stories, he says, we listen to rich people, we listen to famous people, we care about the famous people problems, but just because like these people are rich, why don't we care about their problems? And the movie really does like a good job of humanizing some of these people, because I've always wondered like why would anybody want to share their problems on live television like this. And yeah, and I don't want to like spoil the movie for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I think it does a good job of humanizing these people. It's all fiction, by the way. It's not like a documentary or anything. So, but it ends up like humanizing these people and showing like, okay, how the show kind of helps them like deal with their problems. And for that, I think the movie does a good job. And so rest in peace to Jerry Springer. He will be missed. So next we move on to April 28th. This is April 28th, 1948, 75 years ago. We had the death of author Terry Pratchett. Now Pratchett is most famous for his Discworld novels. So he wrote all 41 books in that series. So it's basically something he's done from 1983 to 2015. And yeah, like the dude's obviously a legend in fantasy. Yeah, and yeah, yeah, he was born 75 years ago. He died a while back though on March 12th, 2015. So no more Discworld novels. But yeah, the dude was like a fantasy legend, and obviously he has to be in the conversation about the greatest fantasy authors of all time. So now, if only George R. R. Martin could finish his Game of Thrones books. But thankfully, he is still alive for that. Okay, so next, let's go to April 29th. This is 100 years ago, April 29th, 1923. This is the birthday of Irvin Kershner, film director Irvin Kershner. Even though if you don't know his name, you've definitely seen like the movies he's directed. His most famous movie is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Now, many herald it as one of the greatest Star Wars movies ever made, and rightly so. It is definitely a great movie, and the way that he's able to Yeah, the way that he is able to direct that, I don't know how much of it is him versus how much of it is George Lucas's vision. But if Irvin Kershner had any hand in creating Empire Strikes Back, he deserves the credit for it. I know that there is one scene that when I saw the documentary, like Irvin does take credit for. It's when it's when Han Solo and Leia, right? Han is just about to be frozen in carbonite, and Leia says to Han, "I love you," and Han says, "I know." Now, in the original script, Han was supposed to say, when Leia says, "I love you," Han was supposed to say, "Just remember that, because I'll be back." And Kershner was telling Harrison Ford, okay, it doesn't really fit the Han Solo character. So when she says, so he was telling Harrison Ford, just say whatever comes to your mind at that point. Don't think about the line in the script. So when Carrie Fisher said, "I love you," he was then Harrison Ford ad-libbed the line, "I know," and so the surprise that you see on Leia's face, that was actually Carrie Fisher like being really surprised. So, and I mean, that's like one of the best moments in the movie. So, and yeah, Irvin Kershner definitely gets his director chops for that. Now, he also directed the James Bond movie, Never Say Never Again, which was the last official time that Sean Connery played James Bond in the movies. Yeah, and yeah, I gotta say, like, wasn't like a huge fan of that one. So it's but hey, like Sean Connery, you always gotta enjoy like him coming back. But yeah, as far as the movie goes, like it wasn't a great movie. And he also did like RoboCop 2, which is not another great one. So, but I don't know how much involvement like Kershner had in either of those films. So like those are the three big feature films he directed, and none of them have been that great. Uh, but yeah, I mean, he'll always go down as the guy who did Empire Strikes Back. So happy 100th birthday to him. He died in November 27th, 2010. So he passed away a while back. So happy 100th birthday. And lastly, this is 35 years ago, April 29th, 1988. The movie Critters 2 came out. Now, Critters was like a horror movie, thriller movie series that came out in like the 80s, 90s, late 80s, early 90s. This was so if you've seen Gremlins, right? Like Gremlins is like a more family friendly movie. This is more like a scarier version of Gremlins with like these small creatures trying to like attack a family. Now the first four Critter movies, like all the original ones from the 80s and 90s, they're available for free to watch on Tubi for anybody who wants to check it out. So I did get a chance to see like all four of them. The first two are pretty good. Like they have a genuine charm to them that they make them fun and entertaining to watch. And I like the Muppet designs of the creatures, how they attack and stuff. Like they actually feel scary. Like so these movies are good. Number three and number four, they're not that great. So I would say probably just skip them. Each movie kind of tries to like escalate the critters threat. So in the first Critters movie, they're attacking a farmhouse, right? A family who lives in a farm. So the first Critters movie is that. Number two, the critters get loose, they attack an entire town. So number three, the critters get into the city, and then they attack. Yeah, they attack like an apartment building in the city. Now number four, the critters go into space. So number four is like that one's set in the future, like in 2045. So they're like so that one kind of feels like more of an Aliens ripoff. So yeah, it but the first two are pretty good. They have a certain charm to them that I think still holds up, still makes them enjoyable. Interesting thing about Critters number three, that was Leonardo DiCaprio's first movie that he acted in. So Critters number three, I was very surprised to see him like as a kid in that movie. Another famous face, Angela Bassett, is in Critters 4. So like two of the worst Critter movies actually end up having like two who would become like two of the best actors. ever. But yeah, Critters 1 and 2 doesn't really have anybody famous in it, but yeah, they're far more enjoyable. And so happy 35th anniversary to Critters 2. And I think that's it. So happy, yeah. So those are the anniversaries for this week, and yeah, and I think that's it. And happy. Trying to think if anything happened in my life. No, no, nothing. Yeah, nothing to talk about. So yeah, so happy. Yeah, thank you for watching the podcast, and feel free to like, share, subscribe, whatever you want to do, and yeah, and remember to keep rewinding the timeline. See you again next week.